Mike McDaniel, he says thanks, but no thanks. Looks like he's going to take the Chargers job. Is that good or bad? Does he show our dysfunction, or does he do us a favor? Albert Breer was asked basically that question yesterday on Afternoon Drive. Here's what Albert had to say.
I think this is an interesting decision by him. I think maybe there is some feeling that you aren't getting the job. He's also, I think, right in the thick of a number of these. And, I mean, to me, like, I think the one he probably winds up in is Tampa. And it could be, like, too, like, that, you know, he isn't getting the job and, you know, he wants to focus on a couple of the other ones. You know, sometimes, and I think that we've gotten to the point with these two where there are so many Zooms being done and so many of these guys are being kind of like run through the ringer. And it's like you've been doing these nonstop for a couple of weeks and you have a feeling that maybe you're not in the driver's seat for one of them. I mean, you can always go to the team and say, like, look, just level with me. If I'm not getting this, like, why don't we not waste each other's time? I've definitely heard of those sorts of scenarios playing out. Not that it did here, but I've heard of those sorts of scenarios playing out in the past as well.
That's Albert Breer yesterday, and of course that was around 5:30 yesterday, so this is before the Chargers stuff. Not going to hold that against Albert. He does a very fine job. You can hear more of that interview, 923thefan.com. So there was a lot of people who took it a wrong way. There was a lot of people who tried to make up excuses, going, maybe he knew he wasn't getting the job. I mean, that's a possibility, but we can just call it what it is right now. Like, I can be a Browns fan and say, your reputation isn't great. And there's a lot of folks saying they're fumbling. This is a terrible, terrible coaching search. We may find out it's a terrible coaching search. Okay? But this is what I've been trying to tell you. And you don't think they're that far away, which was surprising. I heard you on Monday say that when I was out. You don't think they're that far away. I don't know why, because you look at this roster, offensively, it's bad. And you have a franchise that is desperately trying to find a soft landing out of the worst deal ever made. And they're probably on their way to a hard reset. And if you're Mike McDaniel, like, you get 2 chances to do this. You're not going to get 3. And so Mike McDaniel might have thought of it and goes, you know what? I'm going to get Justin Herbert. I'm going to get an offense that's probably going to go to the playoffs next year, build the name up, have a better opportunity going into 2027, and we can talk about it then. I don't think there's anything against Mike McDaniel. I don't hold a damn thing against him for thinking that, because I look at this situation, and whoever takes this job has a lot of work to do, and they don't know how. You get 3 years in the NFL, it seems, and you don't know if you're going to get that much time. The Browns are doing their damnedest to do it, but there's that going against you, and there's history there. I mean, good God, you made the PowerPoint for the guy who you ended up working for, who ended up leaving and going to Atlanta, then going out to San Francisco and runs that thing like he is a complete dictator.
I wouldn't also be surprised, and you didn't get any reporting behind this at all, but let's face facts here. Mike McDaniel was eagerly sought after from some really good teams to be the offensive coordinator. And I imagine they were all willing to make him one of the higher paid coordinators in the league and in a good situation. Philadelphia, according to Jeff Darlington, really went after him. The Bucks really went after him. And obviously he ends up with the Chargers, really went after him. I wouldn't be surprised if he thought, okay, I know I have these fallback jobs, but they're not going to wait forever. So is there a chance, and this is kind of how stuff works in the real world, is there a chance he looked to the Browns and said, hey, I don't have a week. I can't wait for Nate Scheelhaus.
You're absolutely right.
So
you're absolutely right.
Not only you got to level with me. Am I getting this job, and can I put the staff together that I want? Or are you determining who my defensive coordinator is? Mm-hmm. And then when they said, hey, we're too early in the process, he's like, okay, thanks, but no thanks. Let's not waste each other's time. Let's move on. Because when you have a chance to go to the Eagles as the offensive coordinator, or work with Justin Herbert and Harbaugh above you, like, I'm sorry, these are really, really good situations. You're not going to be put on hold by the Cleveland Browns for a head coaching job that probably some people in your life are like, don't go to Cleveland and be the head coach. Like, he might have wanted the job. I'm not saying he didn't want the job. He might have wanted the job, but he's not going to do it if it's not on his terms when he knows he's going to be sought after again.
And if you look at this situation, you have a chance to, again, build up your reputation again, get a second chance, get a fresh coat of paint on you in so many ways. I hate to borrow something from Bruce Pritchard, but they said that for years about wrestling, for crying out loud. You get a fresh coat of paint on you, and you go out there and you see what you can do with Justin Herbert, who's a good regular season quarterback. I know that now there's questions about him in the postseason. All right, well, we'll talk about that when we get there.
But he's got the tools.
Exactly.
Tua did not have the tools. He has the tools.
You will have your offensive line back in Los Angeles after they were in tatters because of injuries this last year. You should have your offensive line back. You know that Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball. You're good at scheming runs open. I mean, this seems to be a fit for you. Philadelphia might be a little bit more tenuous, might be a little bit more tough because of their situation. You don't necessarily know what's going on with Sirianni. I think Jim Harbaugh would empower him to do that. And then you brought up Tampa Bay as well. Justin Herbert, you would probably take over Baker Mayfield if you were him. Let's be serious. So if you're Mike McDaniel, I don't hold him a grudge, and I don't need some smoking gun to tell me how bad the Browns situation is. Like, Mike McDaniel doesn't encapsulate how bad the Browns situation is. Their record over the last 2 years tells you how bad the Browns situation is. The not wanting to play the quarterback that they owe $46 million to tells you how bad the Browns situation is. The wanting to trade the all-time greatest defensive player for your football team, even though his salary looks like, and his contract looks nearly untradeable, shows you how bad the Browns situation has been. It's not just based on Mike McDaniel saying, hey, thanks, but no thanks, because I think you're right. So I don't need to get on some soapbox, because I already did. After all the losses that they had this last year and the losses that they had the year before, I've been on how many soapboxes? Do I need to do it for Mike McDaniel? No, because this is the chickens coming home to roost and shows you just how bit of a difficult situation it's going to be for whoever takes over this job.
I saw people yesterday alluding to this was just another example of the dysfunction of the Browns because of the Rooney Rule situation, and I'm like, guys, they can. I hate to say it, and I hate to use the Rooney Rule as like they can scheme around the Rooney Rule. It's not hard for the Browns to get an interview with a minority candidate. There's a lot of candidates that would absolutely love to get interviewed. Even if just for the experience, right? Like this, people were saying, well, they've got caught with their pants down. Now they have to get another Rooney Rule. I'm like, well, look at what Miami did. Didn't Miami?
Well, they weren't bringing Mike McDaniel in just for the Rooney Rule.
Well, but it qualifies. It would have qualified for one. They have to interview two guys in person for the Rooney Rule. And I saw people pointing out that was their cover, that they not only interviewed
so
Mike
they can hire somebody else.
Well, no, just that it was taken care of. Now they have to get another. They have to scramble to get another interview. I'm like, it's not hard for an NFL team to interview another, because they have to wait for Shieldhouse anyway.
Well, yeah, but I disagree with them. I think you're with me on this. I think Mike McDaniel was a legitimate candidate for him.
Absolutely,
I think they definitely considered him.
I think he was a two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think they absolutely, if they felt comfortable with him, considering even with the history of 2014 and all that other stuff, I think they definitely would have hired him. I thought last week they were going to probably hire him. I predicted that. And he pulled his name out from it. Because I think that he knows that you get a second chance at this, you don't really get a third chance. And if the Chargers do well next year, there's going to be big jobs that are probably open again that might have better situations than the quarterback room that Lyman and I got in a knockdown drag-out about that still isn't good, one of the worst in the NFL. And an offense that has to rebuild, and it's going to take time. You have almost no offensive linemen. You have almost no pass catchers. You have a good young tight end who we're really excited about, but that's about it. Quinshon Judkins should be back and healthy, but there's not a whole lot to work with there. There's way more to work with the LA Chargers and the LA Rams for that matter. But there's way more to work with the LA Chargers where you go, yeah, you know what? I can make this work, and I can work underneath Jim for a year, and then we'll see where it goes. And I think that everybody can accept that. And I don't need him. He's another example, but he's not the example of the struggles that the Browns have had. The examples have been every Browns Monday when I have burst blood vessels in my face over the incompetence that I've seen.